what's up? So today I'm gonna tell you guys a story time, and I figured I would switch up my background or like the angle that you guys are looking at me because my I don't know my desk is cool or whatever. It's cute, but like honestly, I just wanted to switch it up. I really love when people do the story times on the floor. I don't know. I feel like I'm part of like the conversation more. I don't freaking know, but all right. So today's story time is going to be about my psychotic ass roommate when I was in South Africa. I had this roommate when I was in South Africa modeling, so I was staying in a model apartment. And guys, this is gonna be a doozy. So before we start, go ahead and get your drink right now. Okay, this is my little summer drink. It's a little bit of Chardonnay with some, what is it called? Cran peach juice, and I put some fresh strawberries and blueberries in there. So slaps. This shit slaps. So go ahead and get your drinks, and let's just go on ahead and get to the story. The first thing I want to say about the story is that I didn't even want to go to South Africa. The first time I went to South Africa for modeling was a great, but at the same time, a horrible experience. It gave me some serious trust issues. I'm not really ready to talk about that story yet. It was a bad experience for me when it comes to people, but a great experience for me when it comes to actually traveling and scenery and things like that. But I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go this time around because one, my agency at the time was trying to send me to South Africa when it was winter there, which means it was summer here, and it didn't make any sense to me. But their reasoning was that I needed more photos for my portfolio. It's easier to get photos in South Africa because they like to hire people of color more, if you know what I mean. So that was the whole reasoning, because they said I wasn't going to book work in the summer if I didn't have enough photos in my portfolio. All of that was bullshit, to be honest with you, but that's what their reasoning was. And the only reason I ended up going is because I convinced the agency that I was with at the time to pay for my flight there. And I was like, well, it's a free trip to South Africa. Like, the actual place is beautiful. I missed the food. I missed being able to go hiking like on the mountains, and just the energy there was really great. I just didn't have a good time when it comes to the people that I met there. So I ended up going. Just because they paid for it though doesn't mean they made it a very like comfortable flight. I flew economy, and I flew economy from New York to Dubai, and I believe that was like, we're gonna say that was like a 10-hour flight, I think. And then I had like a 3-hour layover in Dubai, but I was there at night, so I didn't really go out and like see anything. I didn't think 3 hours was enough time for me to do much, so I just didn't. And then from Dubai to Cape Town, I believe it was like 5 to 6 hours. Needless to say, I was freaking exhausted when I got off the flight. And come to find out that my agency in South Africa had had 2 castings scheduled for me the day I flew in. They emailed me when I was already in flight, so I couldn't check my email. There's no way for me to know that, so that sucked. I had a driver pick me up at the airport. I get in the car and he's like, hey, I'm gonna come back in about like 2-3 hours, because my casting was like 2-3 hours from when he picked me up, so I had a little bit of time to get ready. And he was like, I'm gonna pick you up for your casting. And I was like, bitch, what? He's like, yeah, your agent scheduled the casting for today, so I have to come back and pick you up. And I was like, the fuck? I was like, I don't even have my comp cards. And he pulled out a little envelope and he was like, don't worry, I got him. And I was like, fuck. So I was already in like kind of a pissy mood as soon as I arrived, because I didn't know I had a casting. And honestly, why would you schedule a casting on the same day I flew in? Like, that was horrible. So yeah, like, I was exhausted, I was tired, I was stinky. I get buzzed in and I get into the elevator, and I have like a bunch of luggage, by the way, because I was going to be there for 2 months. So I had like 2 giant ass suitcases, and then I had like a carry-on. I didn't understand, like, I don't know, I just couldn't remember which number apartment I was supposed to be going to. It was either it was one or the other, and I chose the other, and it was the wrong apartment door. And like, I saw the door next to me that I was knocking on open and then close, and so I was just like, am I at the wrong door? So I went to the other door and knocked, and it's my roomie. Something you guys probably don't know is that the only places that I know of that do co-ed model apartments are South Africa and Barcelona. If you ask me why, I have no fucking idea. To be honest, I don't think it's a good idea, especially after the experience I had. I think that it's very unsafe. I knew that my roommate was going to be male, and I guess I just wasn't that concerned, because the last time that I was in South Africa, I also had 2 male roommates, and to be honest, they were so respectful of me. Learned my lesson very quickly that does not go for all models. Learned my lesson very quickly. I wasn't that alarmed, but to be honest with you, I really should have been more on top of it, and I should have demanded to stay in a place that I didn't have to share with another guy. But I was just really dumb, to be honest.
I don't think.
So I get there, and you know, I'm a little embarrassed because he just saw me knocking on the wrong door, but at the same time, I'm wondering why he didn't like maybe fucking try to help me. So he opens the door, he swings it open, and he just goes,
"Hey, Roomie!"
And I was just like, guys, I had just flown for like 16 hours. That was a lot of energy to be getting from someone after flying for 16 hours. My driver was way more chill and way more understanding that like I was tired. So I was kind of thrown off that he was so fucking like, I don't know, energetic to see me. And I kind of jumped back. I guess if you don't understand this, it's fine. Like, not everyone has this same feeling, but like, is it me, or can you see crazy in people's eyes when you meet them? Because I saw crazy in his eyes when he did that. I know it sounds so fucking stupid, but he was like, "Hey, Roomie." I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, my first impression for him probably wasn't that great, because like, one, I was looking rough, but two, I looked him up and down, and I just like, something felt very off about him. So I was like immediately on edge. I was like, "Oh my god, I don't think I like you." It sounds so fucked up, but within the first like 5 minutes, I was like, "Oh no, 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 like, you are doing a lot right now, and I like, there's something wrong." I felt it in his eyes, but I was like, hey. I guess I didn't like return his energy the way he wanted me to, so I guess he felt a little thrown off. Like, I could tell he was a little upset that I wasn't like, "Hey," but like, why the fuck would I be? I just flew for 16 hours, bitch. I am tired. Like, get out of my way. So I come in. He doesn't help me with my bags, by the way. I was like, "Which one's my room?" He points to where the room is, but he kind of did it with an attitude. He was like, "It's there." And I was like, "Okay." So I walk and I open the door and I put my luggage down, and I'm like kind of panicking because I was like, I have a fucking casting in about like 2 to 3 hours. I was like, I've got a casting in like 2 to 3 hours, bro, and I look like hell. I look like death itself. So I needed to do everything possible to hide the fact that I just came from a 16-hour flight and got absolutely no sleep, because I don't sleep on flights. I just can't. It's not my thing. It's not my bag. I don't, like, honestly, if you can, how does it feel to be God's favorite? Because I can't. I really just can't sleep on flights. So I was up that entire fucking time. I'm just like frantically like trying to get ready. I pick out my outfit. I take a shower, a quick one. I'm doing my hair. I'm doing my makeup. And I'm in my room doing my hair and makeup because there was like a mirror in there. And he's like, I just hear like a knock on the door. And he's like, and I'm like, doing my makeup. And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Hey, can I come in?" And I was just like, I didn't really know what to say. I know some of y'all are like, "No." Like, and I was thinking that in my head, but like, I didn't know what to say. I was so thrown off, and I was like, sure. So I opened the door for him, and he like walks into my room and like sits in the corner, because like, it was a really big room. It's a room for 2 people. And there was like a little chair in the corner. And he like sits down and he's like, "Yeah, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is so and so. We're gonna call him Jay." All right. Jay was like, "Hey, my name is Jay. Nice to meet you. Blah 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 blah." And I'm over here like,
Is this bitch for real?
"Why are you talking to me right now? Like, I just got off a 16-hour flight, and I told Jay before any of this happened, I told him that I had a casting in a couple hours, and I had said sorry as I was getting ready. Like, when I was like cutting open my my luggage and I was like going back and forth, I was like, "Hey, sorry, I know this isn't a great, like, I know I'm not being very friendly, but it's because I have to get ready." Like, I literally said that to him. So it was just really weird that he was like sitting down trying to force a conversation when I'm just trying to get ready. And like, I'm not the kind of person that can talk at the same time while I'm getting ready. Like, I struggle enough trying to do my makeup while talking to you guys on this channel. I literally cannot. It's so fucking hard for me, especially like, it's easier when it's just me and the camera, but like in person, if y'all were here right now and I was trying to do my makeup and we were talking, I just wouldn't be able to fucking do it. So he was like, "My name's Jay, I'm blah 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 blah." He's like just talking about himself in the corner of my room while I'm putting on my makeup. And mind you, of course, I'm already dressed and all this and that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm already like decent. I'm just putting on makeup and I'm doing my hair, and he's just like talking to me, and I'm just like, I'm trying to like, I didn't want to be rude because like, this is our first impression, but I was kind of just like, "Bitch, what the fuck?" So I was like, yeah, but I wasn't fucking listening. It was really just a bunch of shit about himself. Mind you, this whole time he's talking, he's just not even remotely asking me anything about myself. The time flies by, obviously, and the driver texts me. He's like, "Hey, I'm outside. Are you ready?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm ready." So I was like, "Okay, well, I gotta go, but maybe tomorrow we can talk," because like I wasn't even opening it up for us to talk for the rest of the day. Like I really just wanted to come back, take another shower, and just go to fucking sleep. He was like, "Okay, well, cool," and I was like, "Yeah, you can, get the fuck out the room." And he like kind of walks out slowly, and I'm like walking out behind him, and I close my door, and then I was like, are there keys? Are there keys for me? And he was like, I don't know. And so then I go in the kitchen and I look, and there are keys like in like what would you, I guess some people consider it the fruit holder, but black people don't do that. We just put our keys in there. So the keys were in there, and I was like, are these my keys? He's like, I guess so. And I grabbed them. I'm just like, I feel like you knew where the keys were and just didn't want to tell me because you thought I had an attitude because you couldn't just fucking leave me alone. But okay. I grab the keys, I go, and as I was walking to the car, something didn't feel right. I'm not gonna lie to you. And I realized that the way he walked into that room, to the what was now my room, it didn't feel like it was his first time because he went straight to the like chair, and I was just like, you must have been spending time in here before I got here. Like he just walked as if it was his place. Something didn't feel right, I guess is what I like am getting to the point of. So I get into the car. My driver's there. He got me a coffee, which was so fucking sweet. I chugged the coffee. I went to my castings, and he picked me up, and I came back. And around this time, it's literally like 5 p.m. and I'm just fucking beat. Like I didn't even have time to tell my boyfriend or tell like my mom or anybody or my best friend. I didn't even have time to tell them I landed. So I was like, I need to like let them know I'm okay. I like go home, I drop off all my model stuff, like my iPad and my like comp card and all that crap. And then I leave. And he's like, "Oh, you're leaving again?" And I was like, yeah, I gotta set up my phone stuff. Because, when you're there, I don't know how it works for other places, but when you're there, you just go to one of the mobile service places and get a SIM card. And just pay for minutes and pay for like data and stuff while you're there. And then you just, make sure your SIM card's in a safe place and then switch it back when you leave. So I went and got my SIM card, and I told everyone I landed safely. And then I told Jay, I was like, "Jay, I really just need to get some sleep. I'll talk to you tomorrow," right? The next day comes, and as I wake up, I recognize that we didn't get off on a good foot. Like he seemed like he was really offended that I wasn't overly friendly to him. I also think he could tell that I immediately was annoyed by him. And I was like, okay, like I had to live with this person, and I don't want it to be awkward. He could be a cool person. It's just that we didn't meet on good terms. Like I was exhausted. I came from a 16-hour flight. He was like very much wanting my attention, and I was very much not trying to give it to him because I was stressing about other stuff. Now that I've gotten my rest, we can talk, right? So I come out of not the kitchen. I come out of my bedroom, and he's not out there, and I realize that there's no food in the house. And I thought that was kind of strange because I was like, well, he lives here. He had been there for at least a month before I got there. So I was just like, there's no food in this fucking house. So I went to the grocery store and I went grocery shopping because I like to cook a lot. I just do. It's cheaper, but also I just like to cook. So I came back, I was putting my groceries up, and he came out of his room. He was like, "Hey." I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And he was like, "Not much, blah, 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 blah," just tell me what he was doing. And I literally apologized to him. I said, "Hey, I just think we got off on the wrong foot yesterday. I was really tired. I'm sorry I wasn't as friendly as I could have been, but I'm a little bit more rested now and we can talk." So I'm putting my groceries up, and he's like looking at my groceries, and he's like, "Oh, like, do you cook?" I said, "Yeah, I cook quite a bit. So that's why I went to go get some." And he was like, "I haven't eaten yet today." I was like, "Oh, neither have I actually. Like, I haven't made anything. Like, I didn't eat breakfast or anything." He was just like, "Do you want to go get some food?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm not really sure." And he was like, it's up to you, but I was just thinking we can go get some lunch and like we could talk and like, get to know each other." And I was like, "Okay, that sounds good." So I put my groceries up, and we decided to go walk to like where the restaurants are, because we lived very close to like we were not even close. We lived in the city, like the center of the city. So walking to like where all the restaurants and shopping areas were, it wasn't like hard to do. As we're walking, he does something that would be seen as normal if it wasn't for the fact that he emphasized it a little too much. He was like,
"Wait, wait, wait, you cannot walk on the left side of me. You're too close to the road. You need to walk here. I'm a gentleman."
like, and he like put his arms on my shoulder and moved me. And I was just like, I fucking hate being touched. I hate being touched, okay? Like, that's, if you watch my get to know me video, that's in there. I fucking hate being touched. But it wasn't his fault because I hadn't told him that. So I kind of tensed up, and then he was like, "You okay?" And I was like, "I'm fine. I just don't like to be touched."
He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm a gentleman. I can't let you walk on the side of the road where the cars are going. I'm too much of a gentleman. I was raised right.
And I was like, okay. I mean, thank you. I do appreciate that. My boyfriend does that for me as well, but he doesn't make a point to emphasize how much of a gentleman he is because he does that. So it was kind of like, all right. And so as we're walking to this restaurant, he's telling me about how life was back in New York because we had both come from New York. I'm not from New York and he wasn't from New York either, but we had both been living there to model. So he was telling me about his experience. And he kept saying, he was like, yeah, I just couldn't be in New York anymore. He was like saying how New York was just too rough of a place to be and how the people there were making him aggressive and how like he just couldn't live in the city anymore because like he just, was developing anger issues and how like everybody there like would disrespect him and he just can't handle people talking to him disrespectfully and like people in New York don't know how to talk to people and how he was like getting into fights. He was like telling me a story about how he would go to clubs and like like hit people and throw chairs. Like, bitch, he was really telling me all of this. And I'm like walking with him and I'm just like, I'm like scared because I don't know what he thought he was doing. I think he thought that he was making himself seem very valiant, like a very like big man type of situation. But all he was making himself look like was just someone who had some serious anger issues because I mean, yes, New York can be a rough place, but I feel like if you're a realistic person, you'll understand that New York is just it's a very close city. Like everyone, you have no personal space in New York and that can make things a little bit tense. But at the same time, like New York doesn't inherently make people angry, okay? Because I was also living in New York, and at that time I had been in New York for about almost 5 years. I had almost hit that 5-year mark. And I wasn't an angry person. I wasn't an angry person before, and I wasn't an angry person while I was there. And I had gone out as well, and I had dealt with very rude people. I had dealt with people who like didn't know how to talk to me, but I still didn't like get so mad that I would get into fights and throw chairs and get angry. So when he was saying all that shit, I was like, this just sounds like you have anger issues, and now my dumb ass is walking to a fucking restaurant with you while you're telling me that you used to fucking throw chairs at people. And he's just talking. And at this point, I really get an understanding that he likes to hear himself talk because I didn't get a word in at all whatsoever. The only thing I really like got to say was like, I was like, yeah, New York was kind of hard for me too, like in a different way. I pretty much told him that I would, it was hard for me to make friends in New York because I felt like there were a lot of people who didn't have good intentions when I was in New York. But then I said, I don't even think that's just New York. I just think that's the modeling industry. So I didn't really blame the city for that. He asked me, like, if I had a boyfriend or blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, I've got a boyfriend. And, it's the basic questions, like, how long have you been together, blah, 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 blah. And I told him, because I don't know, it's not a big deal. And I didn't ask him if he had a girlfriend because I didn't really care. Like, I wasn't trying to make that my business, but he made a point to make it my business. Look, he told me so much stuff about him, bro. He was like Jay was telling me like,
yeah, I was with one girl and she just broke my fucking heart. So I just was kind of like alone for a long time, and a lot of crazy shit happened, and I just was heartbroken. And now I think I'm ready to get back out there. I think I can start dating again.
And I was like, okay. And y'all might think I'm being mean because like that might seem like a normal conversation to y'all, but it's not that it's not. It's just the way he was going about talking about these things made me uncomfortable. Like he had just told me that he was getting into fights, throwing chairs, and beating people's faces in New York, and told me that New York makes him angry. Like New York makes him a different person. I'm over here like, nigga, you sound crazy. Then he asked me about my relationship, and I said I'm in a healthy one. And I didn't even say like I'm in a healthy relationship. I was just like, yeah, I got a boyfriend. We've been together for a very long time. I'm very happy. Period. End of story. And he's telling me that somebody broke his heart. And then also, I believe somewhere in that conversation he told me that like someone broke his heart. He said that like he tripped on mushrooms for like fucking 3 months straight. He said he like went to Miami and tripped on mushrooms for 3 months straight, and that like it was crazy and it was scary, and that like he didn't think he would ever get himself back, but he finally he said he had finally like felt like he was like back to himself. Like, he was telling me all this just in the walk. And so by the time we get close to the restaurant, I'm really on edge. And I'm trying my hardest to just act normal and act like I'm not alarmed, because obviously at this point I realized he was trying to portray himself as somebody that he wasn't. Like, he was trying to make himself seem as if he was like this really sweet guy who was a gentleman, who wasn't scared to, like, you know, fight for what was right though, and won't let anyone disrespect him, but also just he understands the struggles in life. Like, this is what he was trying to give me. Like, that was the image he was trying to give me, but all I saw was somebody who was fucking crazy. So I was just like, the whole time I was trying to act cool, but I was like, how the fuck do I maneuver this conversation without him acting like a psycho, right? We end up settling on this like restaurant that has like, you know, the basics, the stuff like that. And by this time it's like maybe 3:30ish or so, because we didn't leave to go out to eat until it was like 3 p.m. or so. So we took our time walking, so it was like a 30-minute walk. We're like in the strip of where the restaurants are. This is us, all right? This is the sidewalk. This is us. This is like a little alley road. We're like standing right here on the sidewalk, but like there's like a road right here, and it's like a small road. It looks like an alleyway, and it can barely fit a car, but cars go through it. And then this is the other side of the sidewalk, right? Other side of the sidewalk. I stop. And I look to my left and I look to my right, because I was in school and my mom taught me correctly, and I know to look to my left and right before I cross the road. And I see a car coming down the little alleyway, and he was going to come into the main road. I stop, not just because I saw a car, but because I've been in South Africa before. And last time I remember, if you see a car on the road, you let that nigga go, because he gonna try to hit you as if he gonna gain 20 points for hitting you. I had enough experiences to know better, so I was like, I'm gonna let him go. Plus, he was coming down kind of fast, so I was just like, I'm gonna wait and, you know, blah, blah, blah. This all happened in like the blink of an eye. It was just common sense to not try and cross the street when the car was coming. But for some reason, Jay didn't stop. He like kept fucking walking, and the car almost hit him. And I was like, ah! This all happened in the blink of an eye. I saw him walking as I stopped, and I was just like, kind of like, I wasn't registering like that he was walking, and he almost got hit. And then I was like, oh shit, like what the fuck? And he just starts going off, y'all. He's like,
what the fuck? You fucking idiot. You almost killed me.
Serious, like he just flipped a switch. Like, I have never seen someone switch the fuck up like that in my life. Like, he went from, like, he just crazy. And I was like on the sidewalk looking dumb as hell, like just wanting nothing to do with it. And there was a security guard outside, because we're on like the strip where all the restaurants and the stores are. So there were security guards like, hey man, calm down. And he's like,
no, he almost killed me. What the fuck? Did you see that? She saw it.
And I was like, all I saw was you walk into a fucking street when you knew a car was coming at you. That's what I fucking saw. I didn't say that, but I was thinking it. And I was like, and the security guard was like, you're the one who walked into him. Like, you saw the car coming. Why did you walk into the car? And so then he was just like,
you don't have my back, man. What the fuck?
And then the guy in the car rolls his window down. He's cursing Jay out. Jay's like,
fuck you. I'll fight you. Get out the car.
I'm like, I'm like, no. And like, it's just such a commotion. And the guy pulls up the window. The security guard's like trying to pull Jay off, and Jay moves his arm, I kid you not, smacks both his hands on this man's window on the passenger side and glares into the fucking window like a psychopath.
He just goes.
And then he was just like,
if I was somewhere else, I would have killed you.
And then he hits the car, and the car like drives off, so he kind of has to get off of the car. And like, I'm standing there like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Like, I'm gonna fucking die. Like, I'm with this psycho, like he's crazy. I've only been here for like 2 days, and I'm with this crazy ass nigga. I'm like really freaking out. And so the security guard like walks back, because he's like, this man is fucking crazy. And he's like,
come on, Olivia.
Like, Jay is like,
come on, Olivia. And
I was like, okay. And I like kind of like I crossed the street, and he's like,
did you see that? That was crazy. That man almost killed me. Like, what the fuck? Like, man, like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, people always just come at me. People always just try me.
And I'm like, no one tried you. You walked into a moving car. Like, nobody did anything. Like, nobody was out to get you, bitch. You walked into a moving car. I didn't say that, but I was thinking it because, you know, he was crazy and he obviously didn't listen to logic. I was like,
I'm not going to entertain drama, chaos, confusion, and madness.
I'm just not gonna say nothing because he's fucking crazy. So I'm really frazzled. We sit down and I am so freaked out by the time we get to this restaurant. Like, this man has told me he tripped on mushrooms and acid, actually. He said acid and mushrooms for like 3 months straight. Said that he thought he had lost himself and he would never get back. Said that he had anger issues pretty much, and that he threw a chair at somebody in a club in New York and beat their face in. He just almost got hit by a car and then threatened the man in the car. I was really freaked the fuck out. Like, this was a horrible first impression. And so we're sitting down, and I'm just happy to be in public where, like, I know if he tries anything, I could probably, like, you know, make a scene and get the fuck away from him. You know, I'm looking at the menu, I'm asking, what are you gonna get? And he's like, I don't know, what are you gonna get? He seemed to be very, like, he really wanted to know what I was gonna get. And I really didn't understand what he was doing, but I just figured he was just indecisive or whatever, or maybe he was trying to be cute. I don't know. I think he thought that he was just shaping himself to be this whole, like, amazing person. But in reality, he like made himself look fucking crazy to me. So I decided to get a margarita pizza, and I was like, give me, you know, a double shot of Jack and Coke, because I was like happy I finally made it. You know, everything had been worked out. I'm chilling. I'm in South Africa. I pretty much got here for free, and I'm happy to have made it. So I ordered myself a drink. And the waitress asked Jay what he wanted, and Jay was like, oh, I'll have the same thing as her. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Didn't think anything of it, right? At this point, I'm exhausted. Like, I'm really just trying to keep the conversation chill, because he's obviously like someone who will switch and flip on a dime. I just asked him about himself because I realized he likes to talk about himself. And I don't know what the hell he was talking about half the time, but then around the end of the conversation, he ends up telling me that he was having money issues. And I was like, oh, what's going on? And he was saying how before he came to South Africa, he worked a really big job and they were supposed to pay him before he left, but they didn't. They paid him after he had left, and so they wrote a check, but he couldn't pick it up pretty much, and because he had already left, so he had no access to the money. And so then they decided to direct deposit it to his account, but then he said something about his card, like his card had either someone stole it or he had lost it and he couldn't get a new one soon enough, so he had no money. And so he worked out a agreement with the agency that in South Africa, where his agency in New York would send his agency in South Africa the amount of money that they owe him, and he would just get it, the agency would just give it to him. I was like, okay, that's a lot. That's really convoluted. And he was just like, he was saying how he had went to the ATM when he had first got here and took out a certain amount of money, and that's all he was living off of. And he was saying that's why there was no food in the fridge and all this and that. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I started wondering around this time, like, oh, well, why did you want to go out to eat? Like, if you don't have a lot of money, then like, I hope, like, you know, I'm assuming you could afford it because you're the one who ordered a margarita pizza and a double Jack and Coke. Like, you didn't have to order that. You could have got something small. So I was assuming you had the money for it. And the lady comes and she's like, are you guys ready, you know, to check out? And I was like, yeah, we'll take the bill. So she goes to get the bill and he's like, yeah, so like, I actually don't have enough cash to cover, like, you know, my part of this bill. Like, do you mind paying for it?
What the fuck is going on in here on this day?
And that's when I finally realized what the fuck he was doing. He thought this whole time he was finessing the fuck out of me. He thought this whole time that I thought he was attractive. He thought this whole time that I thought he was this valiant gentleman who, like, you know, was really cool and really down to earth. And like, you know, just, I think he thought his looks plus what he assumed he was projecting was what I was going to fall for. But like, little did he know I didn't find him attractive at all. And then also, at this point, I'm thinking he's a fucking psychopath, you know? So I realized that he had just been trying to finesse his way into a free meal, and it really pissed me off because it's the principle. It's not even about the money. It's the principle. I'm actually a really nice person. I actually am. And even though we had just met and we were roommates, if he told me he had no money for food, I would have offered him food. If it wasn't my idea to go out to eat and I wouldn't have gone out to eat, I would have cooked most likely for myself. But if he had said if he had explained that situation to me, I would have offered him my food. Period. It's not a problem to me. First of all, if you ever have gone to South Africa and you come from like America or like somewhere in Europe or whatever, the currency difference is insane, which actually isn't great for the people who, you know, are from South Africa. But like, I'm just saying, as a tourist, it's a very cheap place to be. So when I could have provided for the both of us, and it wouldn't have even put like even remotely a small dent into my wallet. Like, it was nothing. So that's another reason why I would have been so generous. I mean, I'm a generous person regardless, but I would have been probably more generous because of how little it would affect my bank account, to be honest with you. It was the fact that he lied the whole way. It was the fact that he was the one who insisted on going out to eat, but tried to make it seem as if it was my idea. It was the fact that he literally ordered the exact same thing as me because he wanted me to feel like I was the one who wanted him to come out to eat with me. Like, it was just such a weird thing. And then to have like, you know, ordered not just food but a drink and then asked me to pay for it. I was like,
know what I've had? It.
oh no. That was, it wasn't even like I was already fed up with him before we got there, but after that, I had decided in my head that he was fucking crazy and that I didn't want shit to do with him.
Not today, Satan. Not today.
I play along because he's crazy, because I gotta walk back home with him, and because I have to, you know, go to sleep in the same apartment as him. And if I upset him, he might fucking act crazy like he did with that guy in the car, or like he did with the guy in the club, and throw fucking chair at my face. So I was like, oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's not a big deal. You know, cool. But in my head, I was like, you motherfucker.
I didn't like it, you know, because I see myself pouring the champagne all over the table and leaving. I mean, I was just like a millisecond from doing it.
I paid for the bill, and he like, this is my hand on the table, right? He's like, thanks, babe. I had already told him, 1, I don't like to be touched. 2, I told him that I had a boyfriend, and not just any boyfriend, like a very consistent boyfriend who was now my fiance. So that was like really alarming to me, because like, everything I'm getting from this person in just the fucking one day we've spent time together is that he has absolutely no boundaries, and 2, that he literally will flip like that. So I was like, yeah, and like, I moved my hand and pick up my drink and drink my drink, and I put it down and put my hand under the table because I was like, don't. So yeah, we just keep talking, and I'm just trying to contain my like frustration and disgust with him at this point. And we eventually get up, go home, and after that, I was pretty like done with everything about him. Like, I saw everything I needed to see that day.
Hey guys, so this is actually going to be the end of the story for now. I literally sat down here and told the whole story, and it was about 3 freaking hours. So I figured I'd just like chop it up into a few parts. It's probably going to be a 5-part series, to be honest. But that's only if you guys want to hear it. It's really eventful, and a bunch of other crazy shit happens. So yeah, the next clip that you're about to see is actually the end of this full video, but there is so much more I have to say.
If you like this video, like this video. If you want to subscribe and be a part of my family, go ahead and subscribe. If you want to follow me on Instagram or TikTok, my tag for that is upset_avocados. If you want to follow me on Twitter, my tag is Libby's TV. And yeah, I will catch y'all in the next one.